Hello and welcome to another episode of Book Journey Mentor Uncut. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming in to the broadcast. If you're watching live, please say hello, tap the screen, show us some love, leave us a comment, let us know where you're watching from. If you're watching on the replay, type in #replay. We will get back to all comments. Thank you so much for tuning in. So who am I and what have you tuned into? My name is Daniela Bleckner. I'm an author, book journey mentor, founder of a company called Conscious Dreams Publishing. We work with authors from all over the world to help them to get their powerful message and story out there in the form of professional books. Over the last 4 years, we have published now over 80 books. I've personally mentored 190 authors and aspiring authors, helping them to develop their skill set in publishing, writing, social media, branding, book marketing, public speaking, and most importantly, confidence. I'm absolutely passionate about what I do, offering a platform for unseen, unheard authors so that they can have their voices heard and stories shared authentically, and their books can be read across the world so that they can educate, inspire, and empower for generations to come. We've had some really exciting things happen over the last few weeks, month or so. A couple of opportunities before I introduce the show. The first one is we are looking for 2 work experience students to join our team. So 2 people between the ages of 17 and 25. The first is a marketing assistant. So we're looking for somebody who is really interested in creating engaging content. So there's an element of copywriting. There'll be some designing flyers, getting involved in marketing campaigns and promotions, scheduling social media content. So this can also lead to paid work. So it's 1 month work experience, possibly leading to paid work after that point. We're also looking for a book journey mentor assistant. I will put up all the information in the comments later on. So what does a book journey mentor do? What will the assistant do? We're looking for somebody who's absolutely passionate about books, someone who loves reading, somebody who wants to learn about the publishing process, really understand the ins and outs of what it takes to publish a book, which is really what this show is about. One thing I really want to impress upon you is that it's so easy to see a book, but it's difficult to really understand that journey unless you're speaking to experts or speaking to authors to find out what that journey was like. They'll be going through submissions and getting to understand what it's like to really produce a polished professional book and what makes a good story. There will be training on hand as well, so I'll put all that information in the links. We also are running a storytelling workshop for young people between 9 and 13 ideally. If you fall outside of that bracket, that's absolutely fine. 3 sessions on the 8th, 15th and 22nd of August. It's all really about showing young people how they can really create engaging characters, how they can structure their stories. And I'm really interested, if you know me, about providing a platform for diverse authors, from hearing from people who aren't often in the mainstream publishing field. I put out some stats last year. In 2018, only 1% of characters in children's fiction were from Black and Asian origin. And I think now it's about 5%. So I'm about really raising that. Hey, Eric, nice to see you. I'm really interested in, there we go. I'm really interested in readdressing the balance. There we go. Really interested in readjusting the balance. And hey, Ali. Hey, George. George is one of our illustrators. Nice to see you. And so that's really, we're looking for children of all backgrounds, races, ethnicities. We just really want children who are interested in storytelling to join this workshop. I'll put the information in the link below. So what are you watching? If you're watching for the first time, you're watching Book Journey Mentor Uncut, the show that offers a platform for new and up and coming as well as established authors, so they can really give you an insight into not just themselves and their book or their story, but really into understanding the publishing process and the journey behind writing a book, which is a book itself. It's also a platform for you to hear from experts within the publishing field, so you can get a really good idea about what goes on behind the scenes, which leads me really nicely to my next guest, who I met online I think last year or the year before. She's doing some amazing work. Her name is Roy Lynn M. Ross. She is based in the USA. She is a literary consultant and publishing coach at Path to Publishing. So if you are watching, even if you're watching on the replay, feel free to ask your questions. This is a very interactive show, and you can get them answered by our lovely publishing coach. So join us, fellow publishing coach. Roy Lynn, how are you doing?
Hi, I am wonderful. Thank you so much for having me this morning here in the still fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yeah, Las Vegas, Nevada. How is it over there?
Hot. It's a desert.
It's hot.
Yes, but I love it. We're the still fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. What can I say? So
I love it. Well, you're looking fabulous. You're looking fabulous.
Thank
So
you.
tell us, I mean, you've been in the industry, I think, for 25 years. You've got over 25-year experience. Is that correct?
Pretty much on every corner of the literary industry map you can imagine. I started off self-published. I landed a book deal, with a couple of the big five. Well, it was big seven back then.
Yeah.
I've done some self-publishing. I've done hybrid publishing. Well, not hybrid publishing, but I'm a hybrid author because I've chosen so many different paths. I never want to get anyone confused with the difference between a hybrid author and a hybrid publisher. I haven't worked with a hybrid publisher, but I am a hybrid author because I've chosen several paths to publishing: traditional, self-publishing, and POD. So
Amen.
yeah, I've been doing it.
So you're obviously you've got a lot of experience. You're a literary consultant and publishing coach, but you just mentioned that you have gone all the different routes, self-publishing, hybrid publishing, or hybrid author, and traditional publishing. So for those who are watching, can you kind of break down the differences between some of those?
Yes, ma'am. POD, that's when you do your print on demand. You're going with some place like Amazon or BookBaby or Ingram Spark. That's POD, that's print on demand. Get your own ISBN though. That's a whole nother topic, but
yeah.
Self-publishing is you're doing it all. You're in charge of your book title, your book cover, you're in charge of paying for everything, paying for that book cover, paying for that editor. So you are doing this yourself, hence self-publishing. You are the hashtag literary boss. With traditional publishing, again, you're going with one of the major publishing houses, or you're going with a boutique publisher or an indie publisher, even a regional publisher, even an educational press. But it's when someone else is flipping the tab, is flipping the bill for the publication of your book. Hybrid publishing. Once upon a time, people would say, if you have to pay to publish your book, they're not a real publisher. That is no longer true because of hybrid publishing. With hybrid publishers. Yes, with those hybrid publishers.
That's what we are.
Yes, it's collaborative publishing. You're going to subsidize the cost of getting your work out there in excellence. Not to be confused with a vanity press. And some people will say, well, what's the difference between a vanity press and a hybrid publisher? A whole lot. Okay, starting with a vanity press. They don't care what your book is about. They don't care about your brand. They don't have a vetting process. They don't have a submission process. They don't care if after signing the dotted line with them, you sell one book, because they probably have already gotten about $5,000 or $10,000 out of you. So they've made their money. Yeah. A hybrid publisher is vested in you. They're investing in you. They have a vetting process and they care about your success. That's right. The difference. So those are the different routes you can go. And I hope
you're so right. I mean, partly why. I mean, I set up Conscious Dreams Publishing organically because I wanted to publish my own book. That's always been my dream. And I remember just coming across this, it's like a quagmire, isn't it? And finding all these vanity publishers who were charging thousands. They call you up relentlessly and they don't care about your manuscript. It doesn't matter whether it's been edited. They want ridiculous royalties and they just don't care about you as an author. And there's so many authors that I've had to save or I've spoken to who have said that they've gone through this. So I completely echo what you're saying. Vanity publishers are not to be confused with hybrid publishers. Tell people a little bit about the difference then. What is a traditional publisher? Because I get a lot of people asking me, how can I find an agent? What's the best route for me? How would you break that down? What is a traditional publishing? How is that different? Because a lot of people are confused.
About what a traditional publisher is. Well, again, over here in the U.S., we've got our big five. You've got Random House. You've got Simon and Schuster. So you have those big five, but you also have independent publishers. Again, small presses. You have regional publishers, and you have educational presses as well. So the difference between all of those is, of course, the big five. Those are considered authorities. A lot of authors feel like being signed and published with that traditional publisher is going to validate them more as a writer, as an author, is going to validate their message more. But let me just tell you, you don't have to go with a big publisher to make a big impact. And I'm not just speaking to nonfiction authors. A lot of people think, well, nonfiction, it's more serious. People take that more serious. The branding's more important. Messaging is more important. It's just as important with your fiction as well. You have a message buried in that book, in that fiction book. You have some topics, some subjects, even some matters that can be news related, that can touch people's lives, or change people's lives, even save people's lives. So I definitely want to shout out to the fiction authors or those aspiring to write fiction. Your messages matter.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Are just as important as that nonfiction message, as that memoir, as that autobiography, as that biography. Your poetry is important. Your journal entries that you can take and turn into a book. Your journey, your testimony, however you want to deliver it, it's just as important, and you don't need validation. Now, of course, I've been published with the big five, so some of you are probably saying easy for you to say. But let me tell you this. I published my children's book with a smaller press, Just Us Books. I published A Secret Olivia Told Me. Let me tell you, that book has sold over 100,000 copies to date. Scholastic Books acquired the book club rights, and the American Library Association blessed it with the Coretta Scott King honor. So no, it wasn't published with one of the big publishing houses, but it's making a big impact. So just think about your message, think about your goals, think about the plan for your book, and then publish accordingly. I did not choose one path to publishing, hence the name of my company. And I like to let authors know, you don't have to choose that same route for every single book. Define your goals, why you are writing, why you are publishing, and why you are selling or sharing. And then you publish accordingly. You choose the right path to publishing that is going to allow you to meet those goals. So there is no wrong path if you have made the right goals and done the right planning.
100%. Amazing. 100,000 copies of her book she sold through a small traditional publisher, was it?
Yes.
You see, you don't have to. So many people think that they've got to go for the big five and they've got to have that advance. They've got to go this specific route in order to get the validation. And it's so important to realize that there are so many different paths. And I completely echo what you're saying. It really depends on your goal. So can you tell me a little bit about your journey to becoming a literary consultant and setting up Path to Publishing?
Yeah, the journey started when I really started paying attention to social media. I wasn't on social media. I would hear about Facebook and things like that, and like, I don't have time for that. But then I go to different events, and my colleagues, my fellow literary artists, they show up, and everyone would already know who they were because of social media. So I got on social media and I started interacting, and I started to pay attention to what my fellow literary artists, to what my colleagues were saying, to what aspiring authors were saying. And it started to become disheartening to see how discouraged many were becoming because they really hadn't taken the time to learn the business. We like to say, some of us, that writing is our passion. writing is our love, that writing is even our ministry. But publishing is a business. So you
Yeah.
must learn the business of writing, the business of publishing, or you will want to throw in your pen. And I saw so many social media messages from people wanting to throw in their pen, wanting to give up, not understanding why they produced this amazing book with this amazing message, but yet only Ma, Pa, and their first cousins bought the book.
Yeah.
And so I said, you know what? And I won't even give myself credit in saying it's something I wanted to do. It was really an assignment from God. God's like, put your pen down so that they can pick theirs up and keep theirs in their hand. I'm like, say what? Me? I gotta stop to go help. What? Seriously? So that's how that came into play. It was an assignment given to me, and I said yes. I put my pen down because I normally write fiction. I've written under so many different names. I started writing under the name Joy Lynn Jossel, which was my maiden name. I wrote chick lit, I wrote erotica, chick lit, not chick lick.
Yeah.
Erotica, maybe there was some chick lick in the erotica, but I wrote erotica under Joy Lynn Jossel. I wrote urban and street lit under the name Joy. I wrote my children's books and middle grade books under the name Joy. And I wrote Christian fiction under the name Blessed Selling Author Ian Joy. So I was, fiction all day
love
long.
that name.
Yeah, thank you. I was fiction all day long. And so I had to put my pen down and take a break from penning what, I love to write in my escape so that more messages could be shared. Because there's nothing worse than taking your story to the grave, whether it's fiction, whether it's nonfiction, even as a fiction author. We write what we know first, we research what we don't know, and then we make up all the rest, but it's ours. And so to take that to the grave and seeing so many people who were at a point where they didn't want to share their stories anymore, I knew I had to do something. And so I put my pen down to help other people pick theirs up or keep theirs in their hand. And so that is how I got into the literary consulting. And then from there, publishing coach. And from there, just an outright teaching people how to act like an author, think like a business, how to turn their books into a business, and how to maximize, optimize, and monetize their role as an author. So in a nutshell, God made me do it. God made me do it.
Amazing. I love that. Act like an author, think like a business.
Yes.
Steve Harvey. Yes. Even better. That's great. Thank you. If you have just tuned in, you have tuned into Book Journey Mentor Uncut, the show that offers a platform for unseen, unheard, up-and-coming authors, as well as established authors, as well as experts in the publishing industry. So right now, my name is Daniela Bleckner. Well, it's always been Daniela Bleckner. I'm an author, Book Journey Mentor, founder of a company called Conscious Dreams Publishing. I'm speaking with the awesome and amazing Joy Lynn Ross, who is a literary consultant and publishing coach at Path to Publishing. So if you're watching, please do share this out, invite some of your followers, and please do let people know about this interview, especially if you know that they're interested in publishing a book. Now, I can hear there's a little bit of feedback, so I'm hoping that's going to go away soon. So I just want to ask you, you talked about people who were going to the grave with their books, and sadly, there's been at least 2 people I've spoken to over the past 3 years who've inboxed me and told me about this amazing story they wanted to publish. And sadly, they actually did pass away without having, we'd had various consultations, but without them actually ever writing their book. So it's a very real, true thing. What do you think are the top 3 things that stop people from writing their book or sharing their story?
The top 3 things that stop people from writing their book is because they don't know where to start. And that's another reason why I started Path to Publishing. I wanted to create a resource where we not only help you start, but we help you finish, where we don't only point you in the right direction, but we chauffeur you to the final destination. So some people simply don't know how to start. Another reason why some people don't write their story is because they've been told, well, if you get into this, you better love writing. If you're going to publish books, if you're going to be an author, you better love writing. That is false. That is
Yeah.
absolutely false. You do not have to love writing to tell your story. You don't even have to like writing. As a matter of fact, you don't even have to know how to write. There are resources. There are book coaches. There
Mhm.
are ghostwriters. There are editors. You do not have to love writing to share your story. So let's just nip that, right now. If anybody tells you that, tell them Joylyn M. Ross says lies.
You heard it here first. You do not have to love writing to publish and write your book. There's plenty of
You
help out there.
And you
You've
don't
got
have to be passionate about writing. You have to be passionate about the results of your writing, the effect it's going to have, the impact, the difference it's going to make, the change it's going to make, the smile it's going to put on somebody's face. You have to be passionate about the result. So that's another reason why some people don't write their stories. Some people don't write their stories, especially when they want to base it on their lives, because they've been told that nobody cares about your life. You're not a
yeah.
celebrity. You're
Mhm.
not a public figure. Who's going to care about your story? So a lot of people feel like, they're right. Nobody's going to care about my story. There's different avenues. For one, you can make people care about your story. That is where the branding comes in. That's where the marketing comes in. That's where the personal narrative comes in. That's where writing your brand story comes in. That's where being a resource comes in. I tell people, be a resource before you become an author. So whatever
Mhm.
your subject matter is, maybe your main character deals with mental health issues, or maybe you deal with mental health issues and you're going to write a nonfiction book about. Be a resource first. Be that person where we can come to your social media platform and we know we're going to get a tip. We're going to get a message. We're going to get a live 5-minute video. We're going to get something from you because you are a resource. So
That's
we know
right.
you have something that is going to help us, or that is going to allow us to help someone else. So be a resource before you become an author. Don't be afraid to tell your story because you think nobody wants to hear it. And I know you only asked for 3 things, but this is the
Come on.
4th thing: shame. Don't be
Mm,
ashamed to share your words, even
that's
if you
right.
want to hide behind an autobiographical novel. For those who don't know what an autobiographical novel is, that's something I wrote. I wrote a book called I didn't make up autobiographical novel, but I wrote an autobiographical novel. It's 80% is based on my life. Okay, so I wrote it in a fiction form, but again, 80% is my life. So I got all of the shame out. I got all of the guilt out. I put it all in the pages of a book, and it was therapy. It was deliverance.
Yeah. Well, all of that. All of that.
just write the story. Write the story. And if you don't know how to write, if you don't love writing, if you're not passionate about writing,
Yeah,
because there
don't.
are storytellers and there are writers, there are resources out there. You're looking at 2 resources right now.
No excuses, people. They are really valuable tips. Like, be of service, so important. Offer value. Be a resource. And you're completely right. People don't release their stories because of the shame and the guilt that they may have, or they're always looking for validation. I've got Ali on right now, who's one of my mentees. She's got a question. She says, Joylyn, why do you use so many different types of publishing? Can I just double check? Is my sound okay? Please let me know. Um, Joylyn, why do you use so many different types of publishing? Was that because of the type of books you wrote, or was it just trying to find the right path?
No, it was not trying to find the right path. It was knowing what was the right path
Goals.
for what my goals were for the
Yeah.
book. Now, I've shared all the different names I've written under, and I've even written under my name, Joylyn M. Ross, Act Like an Author, Think Like a Business, Ways to Achieve Financial Literary Success. So I've written under 5 names. Each of those 5 names represent 5 different genres. So we got
Mm.
Joylyn Jossel, who represented chick lit and represented erotica. And then we have Joy, urban, street lit. And then we had E.N. Joy, Christian fiction. And then we had N period Joy, because my children's publisher wanted me to drop the E, because even though it's Christian fiction, it dealt with some adult subject matters. So they
Right.
asked me to come up with yet another name. So my children's a middle grade in Period Joy. And then my resources, my publishing and writing resources, Joy Lynn M. Ross. So each name represents a different genre, but I had a different goal for each of my books. And depending on what that goal was, whether it was financial goals, I had to choose the path to publishing that worked for me. So I started off self-published because I wanted to be the boss of me.
Yeah, I get that.
Say what? I wanted to say who. I wanted to say when. I know I sound like Julia Roberts in what is the movie she played?
Pretty Woman.
Pretty Woman. I say who. I say when. Okay, so I wanted to be the boss of me. So that's why I started out with self-publishing, and I was just interested in getting my message and my story and my creativity out there. But when I went with the traditional publisher, it was about making sure I could reach the masses. It was about that distribution and learning how to utilize and leverage that distribution. When I did POD, it was because I know that the middle grade kids love hardback books. At the time, it was not feasible for me to do hardback books. So I chose the POD route for that one. So I chose my different paths to publishing based upon what my goals were for each book and the audience that I wanted to reach.
Amazing. So it's linked to your goals as opposed to trying to find your feet. So it goes back to what you said at the beginning, be clear about your goals. So
Yes.
Somebody here was talking about marketing, offering marketing.
Do you help authors? Tell us about your services. Do you help authors, write and publish their books, or do you offer marketing services as well?
Yes, Path to Publishing meets you wherever you are on your literary journey. We're like the AAA of the literary industry. And we have a team of experts to assist you with any task you could possibly need along your literary journey. We even have speech writers. So yes, we have marketing companions. We have social media companions. We have YouTube companions. Again, any task that you could possibly think you need to do in order to leverage your message, in order to make sure that the public is receiving your message. We even assist with, we have companions who will set up your distribution and choose your SEO and keywords and things of that nature. We have companions who will write your back cover synopsis, companions who will write your bio. We want you to publish in excellence, because when I first started out, I was an editor. I'm an editor by trade. And I would edit these fabulous books, and these authors would have these fabulous books, and then they look at me and they say, now what? I had to create the answer to the now what. So that is what Path to Publishing is. Path to Publishing is the answer to now what.
Fabulous. And the authors that come to you for marketing, do they have to be published by yourself, or can they come from another company, or maybe they've self-published their own book?
We work with authors regardless of which path to publishing they have chosen. We work with self-published authors. We work with POD authors. We work with authors who are with hybrid publishers. We work with authors who are traditionally published. And we work with authors who have agent representation they don't even have a book deal yet, because you want to get ready for your book. You don't want to wait for your book to get ready. Okay. You want to get ready for your book, not wait for your book to get ready. So we position you for literary success. And so again, whatever path you choose, whatever genre, we are here to help you in that area. And so again, whether you choose traditional publishing, whether you choose to work with a hybrid publisher, self-publishing, POD, your book is your business, and you have to mind your business. And we teach
you are speaking my language, Joy Lynn. We need to speak offline, because we do an element of marketing, but I'm always clear to say we are first and foremost a publishing company. We help people to get press, we help them to get into bookstores, but I think it's really good to create companions, like you say, and partnerships with those who are really specialized in things like book marketing. So yes, Marketing is so important if you're watching.
Yes.
So I think there's someone who is asking, Laxon, yeah, get in contact with Roy Lynn. So what would you say are the top 3 mistakes that authors make?
Not learning the business of writing and publishing, not getting their audience first, be a resource before you become an author, and not learning your job description as an author and the way you as an author should maximize, optimize, and monetize your role and your book. And a lot of that is thinking outside of the book. Do not be laser focused on book sales and royalties. There are so many other ways you can achieve your measure of literary success and your measure of financial literary success. But first, you have to know what it is. I hear people say, I want to make a living as a writer. And actually, on day 3 of my conference, that's what it's called, make a living as a writer. But you have to define what is making a living to you. What does that look like to you? And then you have to be intentional about implementing and executing every task it's going to take for you to achieve that measure of success.
That's right. Thank you so much. And what would you say are your top 3 marketing tips for those who've written a book and they love it, they think they've got a great message, but they just don't know how to connect? What would you advise them?
For the top 3 marketing tips,
I know it depends on your goal as well, but yeah.
Top 3 marketing tips is to, again, I'm going to keep going back to being a resource, because when you become a resource, people come to you. People come to you. You're not out there saying, hey, I'm an author and I got a book and buy my book. You're a resource. So people are coming to you. So know what kind of resource you want to be. What are people, when they come to your social media platforms, when they come to your website, when they tune into your live, there should be a cohesiveness. I like to say I am the Tim Gunn of the literary industry. It must be cohesive before it comes down the runway, So make sure you are cohesive with your resources. So that's the top marketing tip. And that goes back to knowing your whys. Why are you writing this? And there's this exercise I do. And I actually, if anybody wants to head to Eventbrite when this is over with, it's called Write the Story You Haven't Told. And typically it's a 2-day workshop, but I'm doing a sneak peek 2-hour freebie this weekend. You can register on Eventbrite, and we do this exercise that is truly going to help you nail your marketing audience. But I'll share it as a tip right now. You have to know what problem you are out here to solve. What problem is your book here to solve? What problem are you here to solve? Because that all connects to your marketing, how you're going to market, who you're going to market to. So know what the problem is, know what the solution to the problem is, because your book or it should be the solution. And then we go into the workshop, we go a little bit deeper. We talk about symptoms to the problem, because sometimes people don't know they have a problem until you point out and start rattling off the symptoms. And then not only should you have a solution, but there should be a process and there should be results. So really breaking this down, and I'll help you do that this weekend for free. Really breaking this down is going to help you with your marketing. So again, knowing what the problem is your book solves, whether it's fiction or whether it's nonfiction, what is the solution? Does your book give it the solution? Because if you're going to point out this problem, you're basically promising people there's this problem and my book is going to fix it. So that solution needs to be in there. And again, being able to point out those symptoms. What does the process look like? What process did your characters go through who had this problem, or in helping someone else with the problem? And what were the results? What are the results if you do follow the process? What are the results if you don't follow the process? So that's number 2. Well, that was probably 5. 5 is 1.
Yeah.
Number 3, when it comes to marketing, plan. A marketing plan. Hello. Your book is a business. Businesses have plans. You have to have a marketing plan. Let me tell you, doing this and doing that, and you're over here on Twitter, and you're over here on LinkedIn, and you're over here on Facebook, and some of y'all now got the nerve to be on TikTok. I'm just saying, you're all over the place. Trust me, that is not social media strategizing. That's called social media hustling.
That's right.
There has to be a rhyme and a reason and a pattern for why you are posting what you are posting. So don't confuse, when it comes to marketing, don't confuse social media strategizing and social media marketing with social media hustling. Okay?
Exactly. There's no point in being on.
I probably gave you 5, 10. You know me.
Yeah, you get it. No, that's brilliant. I mean, I totally echo that. Why be on things like TikTok and Snapchat if your audience isn't there? Why be on LinkedIn if your audience is on Instagram? You know, streamline it focus on 2 main platforms and really, really like rinse that what you can out of it.
Yes.
You know, become an expert in that field. 100%.
Yeah,
Thank you.
If you're hustling and you're throwing all kind of lines into the water, you don't know what's working. When you're hustling, you don't know what's working. So yeah. Okay. I promise I'm done.
Thank you. Well, Roy Lynn has got so much more. She's going to post a link to the Eventbrite link to her event this weekend. That's amazing. I'm so glad that we caught you just before this workshop. So that's fantastic. Thank you. I know that you had the Path to Publishing convention, and usually it's in September. Tell us about it, because it looked amazing, and I really want to make it down to Nevada.
Yes, Act Like an Author, Think Like a Business conference takes place every September in the still fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. But this year it's very, very, very limited in person, 50. And we're even having it in 2 separate locations. We're having the first year attendees will be with me with the main sessions, and the second year or repeat attendees, as we've got 3rd year attendees, they will be in the breakout sessions, learning what they learned in my main sessions a little bit more in depth. So we're doing more than 6 feet social distancing. We're like 600 feet social distancing. And so we're breaking that down. With one building, the capacity is 120, but we're only allowing 30. And then in my section, I'm only allowing 10. And the majority, they're the presenters, because the presenters make up the conference. We don't have to scour the universe looking for expert presenters. The Path to Publishing tribe, the Pathfinders, we are all experts in our own areas and our own rights, and we come together every year to be both the student and the teacher. But we are offering it virtual this year as well. So you can visit www.pathtopublishing.com. Check out events and conference, but on day 1, we're going beyond the basics of self-publishing, beyond the basics of publishing, period. So if, say you don't want to publish your own book, you want to help other people share their messages, we teach you every single step of the process, pre-publication and post-publication. On day 2, we're teaching you the business. We're teaching you how to set up a business. We're teaching you about agreements. We're teaching you about contracts. We're teaching you about taxes. We're teaching you about tax write-offs. We're making sure that if ever we find ourselves in this type of situation where the government is trying to give you 15 cents for free, you are positioned to get it because you've got your business in order. Okay, so we go over business on day 2, and on day 3, it's all about the Benjamins, baby. We're teaching you how to make money with that book and with your role as an author. So, and the conference doubles as an MBA in publishing. It's the Path to Publishing DIY MBA in publishing, because we are really there to learn. It's like you feel like you're in college for 3 days. You feel like you're in a master's program for 3 days. I mean, it's so we couldn't let any pandemic shut this down and keep this from happening.
No way.
Too many people who need this information. So this year you can attend virtually as well.
Amazing. And I'm sure you'll put that information in the link as well. So our time is nearly up. So tell us, what would you say to the author who is been writing their life story for so long, and they know it can impact many because they've impacted many by telling people their story, but they're lacking in that confidence. They are sitting on this brilliant idea and just really scared to put it out there. What would you say to them?
Confidence confidence is great to have, but you need courage to do it, baby.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a very confident person, as you can tell.
I
don't hide that. I don't do the whole fake humility and humbleness thing. I just don't do it. I feel like when you're an expert and you're taking people's money, they don't want to see your humbleness. They want to see receipts. They want to know that you know that you know that you know. And so I'm very confident in what I know. But sometimes it takes courage to get out there and share what I know that I know. So you confidence, definitely work on that. But at the end of the day, it's courage. You got to stand on that diving board with that ice cold water down there, and you've just got to jump. You just got to muster up and find that courage to jump. And a good way for you to do that is for you to understand that your story is not your story. Your story is mine. Your story is ours. You have our portion in your belly, which means we're starving. Right. We're hungry. You're not feeding us. So the next time you see someone on a corner that says, we'll work for food, how could you have fed them? What part of your story, your message, your testimony, your journey could have changed the trajectory of their life? It's not about you. It's not about you. Yes.
Oh my gosh, I just love your energy. Like you're singing from my heart right now. You're amazing. I could talk to you all day, all day. I love your passion and your honesty and your truth. And you're so right. This fake humility, it's not serving anyone. It's not doing anyone a service, playing small. So thank you so much. How can people connect with you?
People can connect with me on Facebook under Roy Lynn M. Ross. Please visit my website, www.path2publishing.com. And for those of you who are a novice and you don't have the confidence and you definitely don't have the courage yet, and you want to see what does this publishing thing look like, I have a website, www.joylynmross.com, and it will take you through a free introductory publishing course, and you'll get these wonderful, amazing sequence emails that's going to help you build your confidence and courage. And if eventually it's a funnel. So eventually something's going to come through that's going to ask for money. Just unsubscribe when it comes to that. If you're not ready to get to that point, unsubscribe when it starts asking you for money. But at least get to the point where your confidence is built, your courage is built, and you know a little something about this industry.
I want to say amen. It was so lovely to speak with you. I'm so glad we connected, and I'd love to come down to Nevada for your next one in 2021. And I'd also love to come to your virtual one this September. So thank you. We're definitely going to speak offline. Those of you who've been watching, thank you so much for coming in and watching, and thank you for your questions. Please, if you're watching this on replay, feel free to throw up your questions and they will get answered. We'll connect with each and every one of you, or we'll respond to your questions. Thank you so much. Join me next week for another episode of Book Journey Mentor Uncut, Wednesday, 7 p.m. GMT, 2 p.m. EST. It was so lovely to connect today. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.